Sparta! Fatality.
Apparently Biden again is taking over the advertisement on the podcast. The guys are saying that he took over the initial commercial you hear. And some of you have heard. I could imagine like if half the people that listen to the podcast are Republican, those are probably hanging up right now or not even listening to the episode because of that. But I guess it would be the same vice versa. Hopefully this will all come to an end by the end of the week. I feel like tomorrow it's not. I feel like there's going to be a lot of, contested stuff, a lot of recounting the ballots and all kind of nonsense. So it's going to be a long battle, I'm sure. Welcome to the podcast. It's episode number 427, UFO Buster Radio News. Today is Monday. Today is Manic, Disgusting Monday. But it is UFO Day. And we've got UFO news to talk about. I want to say what's up to the guys in the live chat. We got Gaveman, Green Man, Dave, and Dre and Davina. See, I remembered this time. We are recovering from the 2 3/4 hour episode on YouTube, the first Dark Horde Psychic Special on Halloween, of course. And man, that was something else. I think in my analysis, the only one that was sober during that episode was Chris Garcia, the psychic. Everyone else, yeah, fat chance that was not going down. Probably why it took so long. Probably why we almost hit the 3-hour mark on that episode, because we lost all track of time. But that's what an episode should be like. Like, you shouldn't be counting the minutes, hoping this thing ends. There was almost a bit of a psychic war about to break out at one point. I was like at the edge of my seat, see what would happen next. But hey, those are the breaks. It didn't happen. It almost did. But there's some tension there, I can guarantee. And the way I see it, it was a bit of old school psychic versus new school. That's what I saw. That's what I saw the differences in their opinions about how you become a psychic and how do you get your abilities. But either way, it was still a fun episode. It really was. It was pretty cool. So hopefully we'll do it again. I know Chris is sending me some Chris Garcia, the psychic merch to give out on the podcast. So if you listen to the Dark Horde, get ready. You might be able to win some of that stuff, and I'll send it out to you, courtesy of Chris Garcia. He might even know that you're going to win already. I'm just saying. He is a psychic, Today's episode is all about UFOs. There is actually quite a bit regarding Texas. It's weird. A lot of the news articles that were reported today had to do with historical things about Texas, Colorado, and a couple of other states that are trying to, kind of like promote the fact that they have UFO sightings constantly throughout the ages. But the Texas ones are pretty cool because they pretty much take us back to quite a few famous ones. But also Colorado as well, because apparently there is a bit of a resurgence in those triangular lights going on in Colorado. And one of the sightings is actually tied to the whole drone situation, which covered, 3 states, and no one could figure out what the hell they were. Not even local authorities, military, no one. No one had an idea, but they just chalked it up to it was commercial drones that were being flown out in the middle of nowhere to take a survey. That just wasn't a good one. It was just not a good explanation for me. I don't know about you guys, but that was pretty shitty of them to say that. So we're going to get started. This is what you have today, 4 stories, and they're going to be somewhat educational for you guys, I think. At least I hope so.
Keep thinking that I could have done something, but now I'm left with an empty heart. No making amends, no waking up beside you and holding you till we forget it all. How could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. You couldn't keep the door shut. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold. Wizard of Oz can't undo what I've done. Completely out of luck this time. I'm stuck in reverse. I gotta get away now, but I can't seem to take the lead. Oh baby, how could I know there was no second chances? Like dominoes, my life got really scattered. Still, I find myself hoping that you'll find your way back to me. 'Cause I've been stone cold since you left me here. So come home, why won't you reappear? Things that I said came out totally wrong. Can't speak of the truth when it's tainted. I fell into a big black hole. It got me stone cold.
You know, last week I recorded another moto vlog, and I was trying a new mic position or whatever in my helmet, but it was right after I think it was Wednesday, right after we had the space episode where we talked about the water on the moon and stuff like that. So that's what I opened it with, and it was crazy, man. I even ran over a dead squirrel, so he had no chance to get away. But it took a whole damn week just to edit that, and I don't know, this moto vlogging thing, it's hardcore. It's just, I kind of got away from having to do this editing stuff just because of that. That's why I do things live, because I don't want to take the time, because I get too invested in it, for fuck's sake. This first article is crazy. It's coming out of Colorado, and it's the one that I was alluding to, that it has quite a few stories on it for you to take part of the history of recent sightings in Colorado. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to Colorado, especially Colorado Springs and Pikes Peak. There is a bit of an uptick in UFO sightings around that area. Now, it is something you got to note, and that is the fact that there is the Air Force Academy is right by Colorado Springs. You also have NORAD there as well. So there's a lot of military activity there. So it's kind of hard to say what it is that these folks are seeing. But to give you insight to what they're taking photos of, the image for today's episode is one of those photos. That one was taken on August 30th. And it is a sighting of a triangular lights over Denver. So Colorado is still happening. This particular article talks about a few different people who have had sightings in Colorado this year. And we also take a trip back to like 2017 or something like that. But there's a few other people that are mentioned in the actual article. So check that out when you get a chance. The first one is actually another podcaster, the Horror Comedy Potcast. The host, Haley Pretzman, she was out there exploring some whatever horror podcasters do, because I don't know a damn thing about that shit. And so she was out there exploring, and all of a sudden in Pueblo, Colorado in 2017, she saw a very similar image of kind of like what you see on the picture for this episode. She described it as it was 3 lights and they were in a line equidistant of each other and they were close, meaning close to her in proximity. She compared it to being about 4 blocks away is the way she explained it. Basically not really far, so she can see these things quite well. And as they walked closer to this object, she was with somebody else, the lights began to take a more defined triangular shape. She decided then at that point to take her phone out and take a picture. The picture, as she was trying to snap it, she realized, looking at her screen, that the lights at the ends of the triangle, at the points where they met, they started to glow really bright. She felt like maybe it was like a code or something, but the colors were very vivid and the lights were like twinkling at one point. She said there was just nothing she could compare it to. She's never seen anything like that. Here's an individual who, for a lack of a better explanation, is someone that has a podcast that deals with horror and has been, of course, researching things like this. Here's the explanation that's kind of weird because she says in the center of the triangle, it looked like there was a galaxy in it. So it wasn't something you saw straight through. Unlike the picture that you see for this episode, there was something in the center of this. It wasn't just, 3 lights and there's nothing connecting them. She saw something phenomenal. Now, I remember to a lot of the stories that people would say regarding the Phoenix Lights incident, not necessarily what happened in Phoenix, but when this alleged craft left Phoenix and went over, of course, the countryside or the desert side, because it's dry as fuck out there. A lot of the folks that this craft went over also said that the center of the craft looked like a star field. Very fascinating stuff. She continued to say that the whole incident, after she took the picture, it only lasted about 6 seconds before the craft just zoomed away. Of course, no sound, no obvious sign of propulsion attached to it, but it was just gone. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. These are the kind of sightings that are great. And the only thing I don't see in this particular article is her picture. It's not in there. But I'm sure if you go to her podcast, you'll be able to see it. Because I'm sure she pretty much talked about it for more than just a week. Because I would definitely talk about it more than just a week. Earlier this year, on March 25th, Brian Easton, who is a local music scene person, who he was kind of popular, but he died away unexpectedly in May. But he was witness to a strange object over the skies of Colorado Springs. Let's be honest, that area heavily filled in the skies with the Air Force and their training. So who knows what it could be. Here's a description that Brian gave when he had the incident before he passed. He says that he was driving north on Academy Boulevard and Plate Avenue. And he said during the interview, he was trying to describe his sighting. He said it was dusk and it looked over like it was over the town. And he noticed that over the mountains, he saw what he thought was like a tower of lights. What he thought became clear to him in detail, and he said it was about 15 to 20 objects that range in color from gray to some of them blinking with white lights, and at times he said they looked like they were red as well. He found it pretty strange, right? But all these lights started to move around in a frantic way, and then formed a figure 8. He explains it, it looks like a pair of binoculars when you look at the lenses, from the other end. But the weird thing is, he says that there was another one that showed up, a much larger drone. Well, at this point, people are saying they were drones. But then he says all of a sudden the figure 8 flattened out, and then they shot ridiculously fast directly over him out east, and they were gone. Again, the entire incident, 12 to 15 seconds. These are things that are happening in Colorado. And the next one is actually something that happened very close to the point where we had all those months of reports of drones all over the place, and the fact that the local government could not figure out what it was. We had law enforcement involved, and no one could figure out what was going on. This one has actually a story regarding a Nebraska sheriff who actually reported back on December 31st of 2019, observing 30 to 50 quote-unquote drones flying independently of each other with a larger quote-unquote mothership hovering for hours. Now, I don't know how many drones out there would last for hours, flying in any area, doing anything. We know these things usually are battery powered. There's some that are gas powered, but still, for hours, unheard of. Douglas Johnson, who is a volunteer researcher affiliated with the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. They put out a lot of papers, by the way. You should look those guys up. They actually posted a blog on the war zone, and they talked about that Nebraska sheriff's deputy reporting seeing all these drones and apparently trying to chase it, and he could never catch up to it. But he is the one who reported these 30 to 50 drones with that larger mothership, and the deputy even stated that the larger one appeared to be way over 55 pounds. So this is a significant size of a drone, if it was a drone, and all the time the smaller drones would actually return to the larger drone, and then departed the area when they all took off. So again, very strange happenings out there across those, 2 to 3 states back earlier in the year, towards the end of last year, before the Corona madness. And still, that took months and months of people talking about it, people researching it, local law enforcement reporting on it, folks reporting sightings. And yet, the best it could say is that maybe somebody was conducting some kind of a survey out in the middle of nowhere for no apparent reason, because no one filed any permits, no one got permission to do it. So it is very strange. And if you have a drone that size, you have to have a fucking permit for it. You can't have a drone that size and not file for a permit to fly it. So it's really strange story. I didn't believe any of it, to be honest. There's got to be something more to that whole drone story. The guys in the live chat, they don't believe it either for the most, because it's just nuts that something that massive with so many people involved could be just explained away and swept under the rug like never really happened. What's up to Carlo, who has joined the live chat? It's just crazy. There are more incidents out in Colorado that are talked about within that particular article. So take a look at it, and maybe you can come across some of the pictures that were posted, because they were crazy as hell.
I thought that we had something special. I thought I handled this so well. I know we had the right intentions, but somehow it came to an end. I was looking for a remedy. Now I better who's in front of me. I was looking for a remedy. Now I better who's in front of me. Yeah. Push it back, hold you close, start a fight, there you go. I get unstable in my bed all alone. Never know when you're home. I get unstable, Remember the first time I met you, the way that it had made me feel. But later something changed between us, and now I don't know where we meet. I was looking for a remedy. Now I better who's in front of me. I was looking for a remedy. Now I better who's in front of me. Yeah. Push you back, hold you close, start a fight, there you go. I get unstable unstable. I get unstable. I push you back, I hold you close. Push you back, hold you close. Start a fight, there you go. I get unstable. I get unstable. In my bed, all alone. Never know when you're home. I get unstable. I get unstable. Push you back, hold you close. Start a fight, there you go. I get unstable. I get unstable. In my bed, all alone. Never know when you're home. I get unstable. I get unstable. I get unstable. I get unstable. Push you back, hold you close. Start a fight, there you go. I get unstable. I get unstable.
Don't fucking scream at me.
Where's
you
the money?
dumb fuck you. Look at you with your fucking 48% body fat and
Everybody needs a little bit of Arno in their life. I just got to say this. I got to give some. I wish I could do like taps or something like that because I'm not allowed to. Copyright infringement. For Sean Connery. Man, Sean Connery. That was my Bond. And unfortunately, he did pass away recently, over the weekend. Sad to say. But it is what it is. One of these days, I'll just have to do like a tribute. Just play like all the Bond music. I know. There goes copyright, but who cares? It doesn't even matter. This next article is about the history of UFO sightings in Texas, no less. Surprising that I saw this, but some of the stuff here we've talked about on the podcast before, but this one kind of brings it all together for you in one tidy little article. Check out these. One of the things that I found pretty interesting about the first one they talk about, because apparently Texas does have a bit of a history when it comes to UFOs. And listen, one of the ones that I was fascinated about back early in the day when I first started doing this was Cash Landrum. I had no idea until I moved to Texas that the incident actually happened here, just, northeast of Houston. That's where the Cash Landrum incident took place. Had no idea. The first one is Levelland. Levelland, Texas. I actually did a small little documentary on this on the YouTube channel. Levelland, Texas, back in 1957, November 2nd. Crazy incident. Nutty. Could you imagine back in 1957 being a cop chasing down UFOs? That's what happened in Levelland. People on the highway were seeing these UFOs. People on the countryside, as these things traversed Texas over Levelland, even as far as dropping objects on the ground. There's a report of one UFO landing in the middle of the highway. Another one was dropping what they explained as eggs of light onto the ground and blocked the roads. Completely nuts. The Levelland incident is one of those where it makes you wonder. One of the shapes that was reported in Levelland at the time in 1957 was very similar to the Tic Tac UFO. It is a fascinating sighting. It was really one of the bases for my short little speech on it or documentary on YouTube. It was the fact that this was about the time that the Tic Tac first was discussed or put out by To the Stars Academy, and then later, somewhat confirmed by military sources. But the fact that that particular incident in 1957 had the same shape, it is quite fascinating because, a lot of times, especially back in the 50s and stuff like that, the whole deal was saucers. It wasn't egg-shaped UFOs or Tic Tacs or anything like that. So the Levelland case is pretty fascinating and something you guys should check out. The other incident had to do with the farm workers out in Bonham, which basically happened in 1873. These laborers were out there and they saw an enormous serpentine object float overhead in the middle of the day. Completely nuts. Again, you add that. You also add the Aurora incident in the late 1890s, which actually became a pretty famous one because we have an airship, which is what they were called back then, an airship that crashed into a windmill and crashed onto a farmer's property. And apparently there was one body in it that was recovered and buried in Aurora. And then, of course, we had lots of incidents that happened after that because, of course, people moved the headstone, and there was folks trying to find it, then they replaced it, but they put it in a different place. And so no one really knows at this point in Aurora where this AKA body that was supposed to be from out of this world buried. No one has a clue, and people want to exhume it, and they want to do all these things, but there's few people buried there. It's not a humongous cemetery at all, but still, you don't want to disrupt the dead. Though, yes, Saturday would have been a good day to do it, but not now. Can't leave those people alone. But there was like folks out there who at one point were giving out a reward for the original headstone that was taken, and it's not like a full headstone. It was like a damn actual piece of stone or something like that they put on there. It's not like what we see today. But crazy stories out of Texas is completely nuts. The story itself was broken by a reporter from the Dallas Daily who was named S.E. Hayden. And he reported the crash of the craft back in the day in Aurora. And one of the quotes from the article was, "Scattered debris over several acres of ground, but enough remained of the intergalactic guest to show that he was not an inhabitant of this world." That was the story. Now, again, this is a time where across the world there were a lot of people working on airships. And that's why they refer to this as an airship, because people were working on what later would become the blimps. And they were during that time there was a lot of sightings too, from Texas all the way to California, the East Coast, of all these strange airships that were being spotted by people, and nobody knew why or from where or what the origin was. But apparently we have one alien who didn't make it, and he's buried in Texas, in Aurora somewhere. Completely crazy. Apparently, there was actually an individual by the name of T.J. Weens, who is the U.S. Signal Service officer, and was at the time an authority on astronomy. And his opinion of the alien that didn't make it was this. And here's the quote from him. The tall tale concluded with the announcement that the deceased would be given a Christian burial by the compassionate earthlings of Aurora. Completely nuts. Completely nuts. And it's pretty sad that you can't find that today. Who knows? Maybe it's a tall tale. Nobody knows. I know we actually visited the first and only Aurora UFO encounter, the show. There was a lot of people there. A lot of people had interest in Aurora, but again, for the majority of them, really believe it was some kind of an airship, some kind of experimental ship that didn't make it. They didn't make it across the state and just happened to crash in Aurora. So a bunch of more in there for you who live in Texas and have wondered how many incidents have there really been. And I think you probably put this across any state. Any state in the Union, you will find that there are consistently UFO sightings, some very popular ones, some you've never heard of, unless you actually go out and make the research and take the time to figure out what's happening out there. True story.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Look at the beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Lay my troubles to rest. Blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine, and I know this is my time now. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Look at the beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks. I'm gonna make mistakes. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me.
Fucking guy's confused. It's a nice tune, but damn, he's confused as hell. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. A funny thing on Saturday, during the Psychic episode, a Big O showed up. All the times that he's going to show up on a dark court. And you know, as a matter of fact, he had no idea that there was a dark court. That's how funny it is. That's how long he's been away from the podcast. But he showed up looking straight out of prison. No, he didn't go to prison. But that beard was freaking humongous. He says he's going to get it braided. I want to see that. We'll have to bring him back just to see how the braiding goes. I predict it's not going to look so hot. Another sighting in Texas. What the hell? Let's add this to the history of Texas. A giant V-shaped UFO looms over Texas neighborhood in doorbell cam. Now, you guys know we have these Nest doorbell cams. We got the Ring doorbell cams. And they go off whenever there's a motion. Hell, the one I have goes off every time the fucking tree or a bird flies by or a cat. The damn thing will go off. So there you go. But on October 21st... something set off this particular person's Nest door cam, and it is quite eerie, quite freaky. Now, we've seen the videos where you see like what it looks like, Bigfoot was caught in the middle of your neighborhood, or, you'll catch some kind of raccoon or some shit like that. But no, this one was recording the sky, and people are saying that this could be a cloaked triangular-shaped UFO. Conspiracy theories, of course, but, it is what it is. There is a clip of this particular episode situation that was caught, and the craft actually appears to go past the rooftop. And at first, when you look at it, I was thinking, could this be, in fact, maybe a cloud or something like that that's being recorded, but it does not look like a cloud. It does look like it tries to emulate a cloud, and it moves quite quickly. Now, you don't know, because there isn't a timer on it, whether or not this video was sped up or anything, or if it's actual video and the timing that it has. But fascinating indeed. Now, apparently, someone uploaded this to the YouTube channel, The Hidden Underbelly 2.0. Usually when there's a 2.0, it means that the channel got kicked off, version 1. So this is the second version. YouTube doesn't like UFO channels, by the way. And in the footage, the YouTuber explains that the video is not sped up, that the large object appears to be partially cloaked. Again, who knows? We know some of these UFO channels will make shit up in order to get those views and stuff. So who knows if it wasn't sped up or not? According to the host, he says that it could be military maneuvers or extraterrestrial in origin. But the video is strange. I gotta admit to that. It is some weird-ass freaking video, especially to be caught on a door cam. It's just crazy. One of the viewers that, was typing in the chat, after he watched it, says it looks like something that he saw 5 days ago prior to the posting of the video on his way to go shopping. That particular person said when he saw his sighting, it looked like a half moon, but twice the size of the moon and orange-ish. And he says he could not believe what he was seeing. Another one wrote that it looks like it might be a V-shaped, possibly the same type of craft seen over Phoenix many years ago. And someone else says, I might have seen that ship, at least one like it, fly over one of these October nights in Dallas. Crazy stuff is going on in Texas. Of course, we have the naysayers. So one person wrote, it's probably a flock of birds. There ain't no fucking way that was a flock of birds. Are you shitting me? You are not looking at that video, to be honest. You probably see freaking flock of birds in your damn brain, and shit. And then he says, or it's vapor. What the fuck? Whoever seen V-shaped vapor? I mean, what kind of talented person are you to produce V-shaped vapor? It makes no sense. You're not going to really know or get the effect of this video until you watch it. You've got to look at it. At first I thought, well, maybe it's a reflection from a passing vehicle. But you don't see any passing vehicles. And the thing, you can see the roof lines of the rooftop. And it's not like a reflection on the roof as it goes by. This is something funky. And if it really isn't sped up, it's it's a UFO. No doubt about it. But the shape and what you see, I don't know. Something really funky going on there. Now, I don't see where they disclose in the article itself where this particular camera was recording, what part of Texas, but there was mention of Dallas, so who knows? It is very possible that it's somewhere in the DFW area, but I guess if you were to pull up the video that was put up by that particular YouTuber, the Hidden Underbelly 2.0, you probably would know the origin. But again, a lot of these folks are notorious for not sharing when these things are recorded, where they're recorded, and how the video was captured. But either way, check it out. The link is in the description. It is, it's kind of weird. Kind of weird indeed. One more article to go, and it's from our favorite friend, Paradolia Pete.
Hey, I don't get what this is about. You got my head spinning on my shoulders. I feel a burn inside of my chest. See the lines as they blur out. I can feel it knocking me out. You're bringing me higher and higher. I'm making it all up. You're bringing me higher and higher in every way. And all of my doubts, I can feel them, they're fading away. Oh, you're like a fantasy. I know this can't be real. I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling way down, all illusional. 'Cause you got me feeling like I'm lucid dreaming, got me flying high. 'Cause I can't believe that I get to have you close on an endless road. I'm levitating now in one of those lucid dreams. In one of those lucid dreams. I walk within your maze. My head is dizzy like the purple haze. I don't know where we're going, but the clues that you are throwing are leading me back home to you. 'Cause you got me feeling high, like I'm lucid dreaming, got me flying, yeah. 'Cause I can't believe that I get to have you close on an endless road. I'm levitating now in one of those lucid dreams. Oh yeah, in one of those lucid dreams.
I got this article, and of course, it's coming from our buddy Pareidolia Pete. I don't know. It's like a Monday, and I'm not feeling a lot of these UFO stories for some reason. They're just, I know they have a lot of history, and for some strange reason, Big Brother's watching and gave me these 2 Texas ones. But still, something's like missing. I don't know. It's a Monday, and it's just not right. I know I'm looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to talk about space, specifically Venus. Man, that Venus is something else. We're starting some shit there, to be honest. And there's just no way that the science types can continue to ignore what's happening. This one is a fleet over Mexico monitoring coronavirus, claims something big about to happen. Let's just put it out there. This is Pareidolia Pete, Valdequirico, Mexico. What in the fucking hell? They need to shorten that name. Apparently, there's a video out there of a strange phenomena that's showing tens of hundreds of bright orbs all moving sporadically across the sky. The objects in question apparently do not have any wings or any signs of a man-made machinery. Instead, they're just a bunch of flying dots, lit up dots and lights. Our buddy, Pareidolia Pete Scottsy Waring, says, hey, this is E.T. trying to get a pulse of the coronavirus situation in Mexico. I don't see why Scottsy Waring would give 2 fucks about what's going on in Mexico, especially not things like COVID-19 or aliens for that matter. Why would they care? It makes no sense. Have probing stopped? Does anyone know? Are we not receiving the good rectal check just because of COVID-19? Come on. Not too many people cough from their anus. I'm just saying. Except for Bugs. He might pull that off. Waring wrote on his UFO Sightings Daily, you will see a whole fleet of cloud orbs going in one direction. And he says, hey, if these are balloons, they really, really would not be going all in one direction if, I'm sorry, that's not what he said. He says they would be going all in one direction, not all over the place like these scattered balloons were, which were somewhat sporadic. Oh, yeah, I said balloons. Let's be honest, it could be fucking balloons. Come on. There's no way that E.T. cares about coronavirus. Let's just put it out there. I don't know what the hell he's on. I don't know what the hell is wrong with the Scottsy Waring. All these people that continue to publish its fucking craziness. He says what the case is here is that because they're moving deliberately, that they have intelligence. He continues to talk about the fact that there was no signs of propulsion, and the whole fleet appearing over Mexico means something's about to go down. That they're monitoring a spike in the COVIDs. That aliens love to gather information. It's like gold to them, for fuck's sake. However, some people who spotted the video believe it's nothing more than a natural explanation for the UFOs. But of course, they don't say what the fuck that natural explanation is. I mean, really, it could be fucking birds. We have been known, besides balloons ticking people off, we have been known to have flocks of birds mistaken for UFOs because of poor eyesight, shitty video, or the drugs are too good. All those things can really throw a UFO sighting for a spin. But that's a true story. Pareidolia Pete, I don't know how the hell he sees this stuff. I don't know what kind of stuff he's on out there in, where is he, Malaysia or something like that. I don't know. But, you know, someone's got to be looking out for us thanks to Wuhan, because it's just ridiculous that they've got away with this the way they have. But that's the world we live in. Most countries in Europe going in through that second wave of shutdowns, probably in the United States. I predict sometime next week we'll have an announcement that right before Thanksgiving we're going to shut the bitch down. And back to only essential people traveling around. Shittergate 2 is what I'm predicting. Shittergate is coming back. This time worse than ever. Because a lot of people haven't even, gotten all their toilet paper together. So it's going to be complete mayhem out there. And you get ready. Go. As a matter of fact, go out right now. I'm predicting. Go out. This is what happens when you hang out with fucking psychics. Go out and get all the toilet paper you can find because Shittergate 2 is coming. And in the midst of that, hopefully, we'll see SpaceX belly flop in the Gulf of Mexico. That's an 8. And by the way, that's the exit route. If something goes wrong, the SNA will belly flop into the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to be a sight to see, I'm going to be honest. I can't wait for that. Tomorrow we talk about space. We're going to talk about Venus, because there's a new chemical compound that was found on Venus. You were not going to believe it. I believe it. Some of you won't. Some of you are still closed-minded when it comes to shit like this. Come on, take the veil off. Or as a psychic would say, the veil is thinning. I'll check you guys out tomorrow. This is the end of the podcast. I got to go and repent. I think I hang around with too many psychics, because now the future is not even clear. Ciao.
I'm sturdy like a milli rocket. Skin clear, still look young, Andy Miller knockers. Money in my pocket, don't call me a money pocket. Engine get to rocket, it sound like a thunder rocket. Yeah, I still love my baby even when it's toxic. Crazy like she Britney, but no, she don't shade the knock. Russell Wilson way I get low and stay in the pocket. I get paid and do my dance like a touchdown. Yeah, I can't do no time to leave that gun around. In my teens we were acting up and running around. Now we're grown, still get to it if it's necessary. On the ground from January to January. Never met nobody who retired when they were young. So I guess I gotta get it to the cemetery. Getting paid just for rapping is fun. I lit up around a month in every February. Told him side, no electric. It's getting hectic. 777. 777. Yeah. Told him slide, no electric. Yeah. It's getting hectic. 777. Yeah. 777. Couple of money in my head just to say they did it. Can't lie, I'm so paranoid and the windows tinted. I own everything around me, you can say it's rented. Not talking phone numbers when I'm talking 7 digits. Earn it by the day, every second minute. Used to pay me none, look, now they pay attention. Everybody say they drip, but I banded it. See them copy all the looks, but I stay switching. Pick up the loot, then hit the bank. Can't never change, still wrote the change. Captain say the pay, this ain't the day. They made me wait, I'm breaking chains. Yeah. Tell me feeling bubbly out the rose. Took a minute, but I got it out the slow way. Friends turn to foes, haters tell them go away. Rappers making shiggy dance like a soul train. Told them slide, no electric. Yeah, it's getting hectic. 777. 777. Yeah. Told them slide, no electric. 777. Yeah, yeah. 777.